Hello everyone and welcome back to another video of mine. This time I'm back with Kali, Flame of Samsara, Season 1, Episode 3. I can't with that hottie we saw last episode. I am pretty sure that he is the prince that we will have to marry. But let's see what happens this episode. To choose the future bride, the Dozen gather at their secret mountain residence. Together, the lioness and the tiger have the final say. Oh god, okay. Episode 3, A Game of Dice. Oh no. They're gonna be like, I'm gonna have to roll the dice, and it's gonna be a lesser evil if our character goes in for the kill. The carriage rhythmically rocked up and down as it moved. Davy watched the mountain landscape flash by out the window. In the distance, snow-capped peaks seemed to stretch on endlessly. The residence where the whole dozen was heading was safely hidden away between stone and snow. However, the building was not at a very high altitude, so it wasn't too cold there. Some slopes were even still covered with green grass. Despite that, Davy shivered and looked around at her travel companions. Kairas and Kamal are deep in conversation and not paying any attention to us. Amrita, the drama queen, I remember. She hadn't spoken to Amrita since their argument. Davy was tormented by guilt. Why did she taunt her friend? She didn't taunt her friend. I'm sorry, maybe I'm interpreting it wrong. Or maybe I'm just seeing it differently. Why am I taunting my friend by being just honest with her? You can't choose who you fall in love with. So it's her right to fall in love. Who can stop her? It's her feelings. But if that man is not interested in her and we are just straight up telling her, we are not taunting her. We were just honest. A lot of people just can't accept honesty. They're like, yeah, just let me live in my fantasy and everything. Fantasy is all great, but it shouldn't distract you from reality. Like, reality is and remains that. He does not like you like that. And me as a friend, seeing my friend get lost more and more in her delusion, I'm trying to get her out of it. Because I don't want her to suffer more than she already is. Because she's imagining herself with the man she loves. And she does not seem to realize that she's losing herself in that delusion or in that fantasy. Sadly, we can't have everything we want in our lives. So, her dreaming about having a life with that man, that's all in her right. But she should be capable to distinguish reality from fantasy. Her having that beautiful life with the man she loves is fantasy. Her not being in that man's view, that's reality. And she has to accept reality. Because if she doesn't, sooner or later, she's gonna be that deep in her fantasy that she won't be capable to get out. So I'm just being a good friend and telling her straight on. Do not get lost in your delusion. I was honest. I wasn't taunting her. In Bombay, I used to say whatever came to my mind. Me. People always listen to me, but things are different in Bengal. I still don't understand why she's so keen to marry Raj. The Doobays will expect Amrita to be silent and follow her husband around like a shadow. Besides, why the rush? She's young. She still has plenty of time to get married. Because she wants him, precisely him. And I'm pretty sure that Raj is insanely older, maybe. And she is like, if I wait, then I won't be capable to marry him. Someone else is gonna snatch him away from me. So she's like, the second that this man is ready to marry, I'm gonna get married. But if she wants it so much, I should hold my tongue and support her, I suppose. I just can't stand the thought. If there's a possibility, then I'm all in and supporting my best friend. But if there's no possibility and she's just making up something in her mind, then it's a fantasy that I can't support. I'm sorry.
Crossed the border a long time ago. It's unlikely. Such a case couldn't have gone unnoticed. They could have tried to keep his arrival under wraps precisely because he's a visitor of special importance. Any kind of information can be used as a weapon. Some might plan an attack.
Kaira shook his head.
Kamal will be notified immediately when the new Governor General arrives. It's in no one's interest to fight with each other and have the region be in turmoil again.
They're discussing the new governor. What was his name? Decla? Christian Decla? I wonder how old he is and what he looks like. I'm pretty sure that we already met this man. Kamal was sure that Decla had already arrived in Calcutta secretly, unofficially, but Kairas disagreed. If he is indeed already here, he must have kept to himself, otherwise the news would have spread instantly. Christian. Ian? Yes! Finally making the dots, girl? The man she'd met in the field immediately came to mind. He was elegantly dressed, riding at night in secret near a wealthy neighborhood. Christian? Ian? Oh no, just my luck. Debbie wanted to laugh at the absurdity of her train of thought. Did she really run into the new Governor General? Yes, because we are that lucky. You read the letter at the Kaligat and learned the governor's full name. Your guess will affect the plot. I can't be sure. He seemed too young. I'll find out for sure when I see him with my own eyes, and maybe not for the first time. How long are we going to be here? Keep silent. Let's talk about something else. You know what? They are in a conversation, and apparently back in their timeline, women are just supposed to be pretty and just sitting there. Okay, y'all, I'm I'm being too much. I just don't like to just intrude in someone's conversation. They already seem to be in a heated conversation discussing what's going on with the governor, so I'm just gonna keep silent. Let them talk about this to their heart's content so that hopefully they won't bring it up later, at least for 5 minutes.
You forget who we're dealing with.
Pride. Karas crossed his arms. He smiled warily.
Are you in a bad mood today, Devi?
Why? What are you talking about?
You've been silent all morning. Amrita is being quiet too.
Covering her face with golden fabric, Amrita scoffed.
I'm scared of saying something Devi won't like.
Amrita, she's actually a Karen. So she's actually like this, y'all. Like I said, some people can't accept honesty. Your friend is not always gonna agree with you. Your friend is not a spitting image of you. Your friend is gonna have different opinions about specific things. So there will be times when she will disagree with what you say or what you do. But it's because I'm that good of a friend is that I talk about my worries with my friend. I say when I feel that something is wrong, but I support my friend no matter what. Just because I don't feel that something you do is right does not have anything to say. And she's actually like this. I'm scared I say something she doesn't like, so I'm not saying anything. Like what? Kamal didn't get involved watching them from the side. His attention drifted away from the conversation. He wasn't worried by their small argument, but Kairas continued confidently.
You'd better make up before we get there. No one will put up with your spiteful glances. I'm not kidding, girls.
That. He frowned and leaned back against the padded seat. Amrita didn't say anything. Devi knew how proud her friend could be. If Devi wasn't going to admit her mistake, she was going to keep sulking. Neither of them needed that. I don't think I was wrong! Ugh, whatever. If that's gonna help for her to stop her bitchy attitude, I was wrong. Her words hung in the air. I said things I shouldn't have, I'm sorry. Amrita looked at her with interest, returning her attention to the conversation. And? See, she's actually a Karen, y'all. I can't with her friend. She better prove me wrong, y'all, but I can't stand Amrita right now. And please don't be angry with me anymore. The frown vanished from Amrita's face, replaced by a warm smile. Devi knew she had been forgiven. Amrita immediately moved closer to her as if she'd been waiting for a chance to do so. Her brother nodded approvingly.
Devi, you're learning to admit your mistakes. What a joy. I was starting to worry that you may have taken after our mother.
Was she stubborn?
To put it mildly.
Kamal's voice suddenly made everyone turn toward him.
This meeting is very important for all of us. We haven't gathered like this for many years because it's too dangerous. There will be 12 important families present, so you'd be on your best behavior. A fate will be decided soon.
After Kamal's words, no one felt like joking or chatting any longer. The girls fell silent. Now that's what you did. Oh, wow. Mountain residents, the Himalayas, a few days later. After spending many hard and long days on the road, the first members of the dozen reached the secret residence. All the families had left their homes in different times and traveled on different roads so that their movements wouldn't be easily tracked. Once great and influential, they were now forced to hide from foreigners like mice in the corners. Their refuge was a luxurious, spacious mansion set along the edge of a high cliff. It had been built many years earlier for the very purpose of providing them with shelter. The only way to get there was through a small, winding road leading from the mountain fields to the mansion. The path went through the stables where the families left their horses. It was a secret place for the privileged. They had been looking after the mansion for 2 centuries, all the way down to the current Maharaj. Devi jumped out of the carriage and eagerly stretched her stiff muscles. Some servants took care of the carriage, luggage, and horses. All the families that had just arrived gathered together. They greeted each other like old friends with pats on the back and bows, asking about the health of this or that family member. The noble families had been separated for so long that they genuinely rejoiced at the opportunity to get together and discuss their affairs.
Look, Rati's here.
Aww. I heard things are looking up for her family. They write a lot for the bazoos, and in return, they get help with their printing house.
I heard that the Banerjees are close to ruin. It's too bad they still owe a dowry. Their financial situation must be pretty dire.
Hush. A beautiful young woman elegantly walked up to them. She bowed respectfully.
Miss Sharma, Miss Rai.
Rati was slightly younger than them, and her family was considered inferior to those at the top of the dozen. Etiquette required her to show respect.
Great mother, how do you manage it?
Devi noticed that Rati was addressing her. Manage what?
We've been on the road for so long, and yet you still look as fresh as if you just stepped out of your house. Your hair, your clothes, your skin, everything looks nice.
I tried not to move too much, thank you. Dignity! Rati realized there's a reason why many people praise your beauty. Let's go.
I'm so glad to see you. I was afraid that it would be a long time before we could all gather like this.
Yes, it's as if we're on a leash. I hope it will be fun. While all the main hairs are managing important affairs, we can enjoy ourselves.
Enjoy yourselves? What do you mean, Devi?
Rati answered for her.
We don't see much of each other, do we? We can finally get to know everyone and talk.
If the situation allows it, of course. I have the feeling there will be a great deal of arguments and shouting in the coming days.
Oh, it's going to be entertaining, that's for sure.
Rati smiled happily.
The Bazu twins should get here soon with them. It's impossible to get bored. Radha knows how to have fun.
Ooh! Radha, let me meet you. I'm so sorry. Devi was starting to doubt herself. Maybe she was worrying for nothing, and surely it wasn't going to hurt to relax a little. She hadn't seen some of the members of the dozen for a long time, and they were her childhood friends. After all, what were the odds of Devi being the one chosen to be the bride? Come to think of it, Kairas is too rich and influential. They wouldn't dare offend him like that and take me away from my family. Are you sure about that? A few minutes later, they had to say goodbye. The brothers led them to their respective rooms in the mansion. Outside the ornate balcony lay a beautiful view of the mountain slopes. The open windows let in cool, crisp air. The bed was made with the finest snow-white lines. The servants had hung Devi's clothes in the closet with meticulous attention. Devi could finally relax. Taking off her traveling clothes, she lowered herself into a tub someone had filled for her with hot water. She let out a groan of pleasure and stretched her neck. Her gaze lingered on the curves of her body, smooth and toned, vivid against the cool, luxurious marble. Davy was an adult now, and the more men looked at her, the more she thought about marriage, and yet she was in no hurry to get married. As her brother said, no one but him was going to tolerate her antics. and Davy tried to remember the legend. Tell me about the legend. Looking at the ferocious, she also remembered the text. Once upon a time, the gods lived a quiet and prosperous life. Each of them was busy with their duties taking care of humanity. But that time was not destined to last forever. The terrible and powerful demon Mahishasura came to settle old scores. He was so strong and so angry that the gods were unable to fight him off. The war against him lasted for 100 years, and in the end the demon won. It was a difficult time for the gods, who had to submit and retreat. But they couldn't tolerate such an outcome. The gods went to the sacred triad, Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma, to ask for help. After learning about the atrocities committed by Mahishasura, they were furious, and they decided to bring their wrath into being. Taking the creative female energy of Shakti, the gods combined their forces, their rage, and their power. The dark and destructive hypostasis of sweet Parvati was born, the great goddess Kali. I know all of that, but for those who haven't seen Kali, Call of Darkness, it's a nice reminder. A warrior who had no equal in this world. Kali rushed into battle with a deafening cry that reached Mahishasura himself. He tried to fight her, but his defeat was inevitable. Drunk on victory, the goddess began dancing. Her dance threatened to destroy everything around her. Only Shiva, who threw himself at the feet of his beloved wife, was able to stop and pacify her. Pacify her! Again, pride. Her brother found her in the crowd right after the ablution and took her closer to the altar. Devadasi from the local temple served everyone a glass of wine to take the first and most important sip. Then everyone was given a trimpundra, a mark on the forehead signifying their affiliation with Shaktism. That completed the first stage of the service.
Ooh, don't stand so far away. Your place is here at the front.
The twins turned at the sound of his voice.
Davy, there you are. Come next to me, quick. Rash will start any minute now. Like we don't know what he's going to say. We'll be here at Nutantra.
Oh! As they were in public, all Vidya did was give her daughter a stern look, and the young woman immediately fell silent. Girl. Not the place. But Miss Pazu's glare was eloquent enough that it was easy to guess what would have happened if Radha continued.
It is at the service that Ram will appeal to Ma Kali and ask her which of the girls should be chosen for the role of the bride. Keep quiet, both of you, if you don't want to bite to point at you out of spite. I won't be able to protect you if he does. No one will go against the goddess will. Don't worry, the wise Ma Kali won't give her main daughters into the hands of a stranger, and Ram wouldn't joke like that.
Look how stunning we are. All the power is in the younger DOOBAY's hands. The gods will decide then. It all depends on a man again. To be quite honest, I mean, if possible, I would go with the last one because it just feels like that's something I would say. But I think it's important to point this out. I think people need to learn time and place. A lot of people just say whatever they feel, which is something I do, okay? But in time and place, I can't just say whatever I feel just when I feel like it. That's not how things go. Like, you need to learn how to control yourself. You can't just always immediately say what you think. That's not gonna end well for you. Okay, all the power is in the younger DOOBAY's hands. Why is he the one speaking and not Rash or you?
David's not down to me. Rash or even Ram to decide. This is the right of the one who is more important than the whole dozen. The outcome is in the hands of the goddess Kali, and Ram, as the family Ibrahim, is more closely connected to her than any of us.
But he could lie.
I won't lie about such a thing. Ram is a fair man. He's not interested in the dozens of feuds. He has no reason to lie or frame anyone. We had a disagreement the other day. Now he may have a reason to lie.
Rada, you already got on your mom's bad side. Yeah. Like I said, need to know time and place, ladies and gentlemen. You already got on your mom's bad side. Do you actually want to provoke even more?
Rada. He's joking, mother. Just joking. We don't fight with the DOOBAYs, I promise.
Vidya gave a curt nod, her gaze fixed on the altar. Has she forbidden her girls to argue with the DOOBAYs? Is she afraid of them? A few minutes later, Raj appeared at the altar dressed in red.
May the gods be merciful to you.
He spoke louder.
You all did an ablution before stepping into the sacred hall. This should rid you of vicious thoughts, leaving your mind clear for the Tantra.
He spread his arms and closed his eyes. His pleasant voice sounded monotonous, words flowing like a stream.
This whole universe was born by you. This world was created by you.
Let's go.
In the end, you always devour it. You manifest as a destructive force. Dark Mother, Mother of Strife, Mother of Time. You're the greatest night of final dissolution and the terrible night of delusion. You're a fearsome, you're the supreme ruler, serving you is our main goal. Help your children, O many-faced one. Show us the right path to freedom and let all the rivers of blood flow to you. Damn.
Raj kneeled down and the others followed him. The dozen continued in unison. May the essence of the soul be blessed. May the essence of Shakti be blessed. May the essence of Shiva be blessed. They stopped abruptly, the words of the Tantra echoing through the room. Shadows danced on the stone walls, blurred by the pale haze of incense smoke. Ram stepped on the altar, walking slowly and majestically. Look at this man. Oof. He wasn't wearing his eye patch. The eye he usually covered was intact, but it was a different color. Gray? There was a golden family ring on his finger. Those who held the knowledge used it to get in touch with the goddess. Oh, wow.
Come to us, O many-faced one. Tell me your will.
He raised his arms in silent prayer, closed his eyes, and let the energy of the Dark Mother fill his body. The people kneeling before the altar also closed their eyes. The hall filled with deafening silence. Everyone was quiet, waiting. Devi also closed her eyes. She listened, hoping to catch at least an echo of Kali's whisper. She had heard so much about it. People said it could drive you crazy. It had power over the human will and could break you and make you succumb to the goddess' wish. That's what happens when you're too curious. There is a reason why there is a saying, curiosity killed the cat. She's actually willing to find out what it sounds like so badly that she's completely ignoring the fact that it could make you go insane. Suddenly, Devi winced in pain. Did her migraines follow her even there, in the purest and most sacred place? Her head felt as if it was splitting in two. Devi couldn't withstand the pain and opened her eyes, gritted her teeth. Open her eyes? This is unbearable. Devi opened her eyes confused. The pain was disorienting, and she did so. She met Ram's gaze. He was also standing with his eyes open, his fingers pressed to his temple. Huh? He looked at her for a long time before he mouthed.
Close your eyes.
Ram noticed that there's something wrong with you. Thank you. What is... Y'all, this sounds so wrong. He noticed something's wrong with you. Thank you. There was no room for arguments at the puja, the religious practice, so Devi did as Ram said.
May everything be offered as a sacrifice to the Dark Mother.
Ram opened his eyes again, uttering the final lines of the Tantra. Everyone else also straightened up. The service was almost over. Everyone expected that Ram, having heard the goddess, would announce her will at the meeting. But Devi wasn't paying attention to anyone anymore. Her headache was all she could focus on. Night fell, but her pain didn't fade. Devi had been trying to fall asleep for 2 hours, and it was now past midnight, but sleep wouldn't come. What is it this time? What could be the reason for this? Maybe I'm sick? And with something terrible and incurable, my head is killing me. She threw off her blanket and got out of bed, massaging her temples. Davy remembered Aishvari's recipe. She skillfully took care of Davy whenever she got sick. Sometimes Davy would suffer from a raging fever, sweat rolling down her face. Aishvari's tea always helped, which meant it could also relieve headaches. Davy wanted to go to the kitchen to brew some, but a knock on the door interrupted her. Who could it be this late at night? She knew she had nothing to fear in that residence, so she opened the door without thinking about it for too long. Ram, he said, I'm following you. DOOBAY? What do you want? He leaned against the door frame. He didn't look surprised, but still said,
Your dress?
Thank you. Davy completely forgot she was only wearing her nightdress, but she didn't hide or cover up. She'd only make a fool of herself.
You know why, Mia? I want to know what happened tonight.
And what makes you think that I'm gonna tell you what's wrong with me? Nothing. The smoke gave me a headache.
You're lying.
Baby, how am I supposed to know? Why do I have to explain myself that? Just what I said.
Because I asked. Is that not reason enough?
No, who are you? My boyfriend? Even if you would be, you have no right to ask for any kind of explanation from me. Are you my father? Who are you? So that you can ask for any kind of answer from me. Let him in. Let him in. Get back to your room. I can't. She gritted her teeth, but stepped aside. Come in quickly before anyone sees you.
I'm nervous.
When Ram passed by Davy, their eyes met for a moment. Both realized they were in a compromising situation. A young man in a girl's bedroom at night, with her only wearing a nightgown, as if he had just helped her undress an hour earlier. And yet they did it anyway, hoping that no one would see them. I hope it's something important. I'm scared to think what will happen if we get caught.
I'll love to marry you. No big deal.
Excuse me? Is this such an insignificant matter for you?
If I were you, I'd be happy. You can't fight a better man.
I hate him so much. I hate him so much that I already love him, y'all. I can't. This man is way too iconic. Closing the door, Davy chuckled. I'll decide that for myself. So what do you want from me? Putting his hands in his pocket, Ram asked thoughtfully.
Tell me everything that happened to you during the service.
Why do you care? He let out a dramatic sign of taking his eyes off her.
I'm just overcome by sheer curiosity. Also the question, Davy. I wouldn't have come here for no reason.
She hesitated but gave up and answered. I really had a headache.
But not because of the smoke.
No, but something must have caused it. It hasn't hurt so much in a long time.
Is it still hurting?
Yes. He didn't say anything but reached for his eye patch and took it off. Look how beautiful his eyes are. Why is he wearing the eye patch? Why did you take it off?
To look at you.
He looked up, his gaze fixed somewhere above Davy's head. He did that for a long time, lost in thought, occasionally frowning. Then he took a step closer to her and touched her forehead with the back of his hand. His fingers felt cool on her skin.
You're burning up. You must really be hurting.
Davy jerked her head back, annoyed. I told you I have a splitting headache.
But I didn't think it was like that. Like mine.
Like yours? Yeah. Like yours? Do you also suffer from headaches? Just as the conversation was starting to get interesting for Davy, Ram turned to leave. Where are you going?
Back to my bedroom. You told me what I needed to know.
But we've just started! You can't just leave after you got your answers. I want my answers too. Ram chuckled softly and turned around.
I don't know what you started. But I just came here to ask you about your headache. You'll have to continue on your own.
This bitch is not actually saying that I was willing to have a one-night stand with this man. He's like, now you can continue yourself. Masturbate all you want, but I'm leaving. This man. This meeting will be your shared secret.
To help you with this, I have to figure it out myself first.
With that, he left the room. Davy fought the urge to throw something at him. Davy didn't want to linger. It was hard to think. Pain clouded her mind. She put on a robe and hurried to the kitchen. When she got there, a noise startled her. Davy was surprised. Why was someone in the kitchen at that hour? But the last thing Davy expected to see was Kamal.
Davia, what are you doing here at this hour?
There was a plate of food in front of him. Look how pretty she looks. Kamal was half turned toward her, his thick eyebrows raised in surprise.
It's long past bedtime. Why are you wandering the corridors at night?
I'm not feeling well. She hastily averted her eyes. She'd never seen a man, apart from her brother, without a shirt. Kamal didn't feel embarrassed at seeing her in a robe. He wasn't even looking at her clothes.
What's wrong?
Tell him. I have an awful headache. It's been bothering me for several days now.
We're not high enough here for mountain sickness.
Yes, I know, but I don't know what to do about it. The pain is keeping me awake at night. Don't tell Kairas, okay? Kamal frowned, clearly unhappy with her request, but he was in no hurry to either agree or refuse.
That's not right. You should tell him.
After the meeting, I don't want to add to his worries.
All right.
You confided in Kamal. Your relationship has improved. By the way, I didn't see you at the service.
I was training and I just finished. The goddess can wait. She will live forever, so she's hardly in a hurry.
Damn. She now understood why Kamal was eating in the middle of the night. He spent a few hours in intense training, so he missed dinner as well as the Tantra reading. He was catching up while everyone else was sleeping.
I'll make you some tea.
Oh, don't. I'll do it myself. You are...
A man?
Not going to know the recipe. And also, yes, if anyone finds out that you made tea for me, I'll be a laughing stock. Kamal smiled warmly and lit the fire.
Don't listen to them, and I bet I know the recipe you're thinking of. Do you think Aisha never treated me?
He found a cup and a teapot, picked the right herbs and spices, and even took out a bottle of milk. His hands moved quickly and deftly, as if he'd done that 1,000 times. She could have happily watched him for hours.
Not everyone will agree with me, but I think sometimes men should be the ones to cook.
Kamal. Don't make me fall in love. Am I dreaming? His dark curls fell over his forehead. He had a few wrinkles around his eyes. His gaze was attentive and focused. As Kamal stirred the milk, the muscles on his shoulders and chest flexed in time with his movements. He looked even more imposing without clothes. Offer to help? Devi couldn't just stand there and watch. She approached the table to help.
I can do this.
You were having dinner and I interrupted you and made you make me tea. Let me help you at least so that I won't feel too guilty.
As you wish.
He handed her the teapot and a jar of herbs and nodded.
Get everything ready while I boil the milk.
Davy did as he said. She wasn't used to seeing Kamal like that. He wasn't holding his usual straight posture, but was casually hunched over the pot. He was half naked, relaxed, and as kind as ever. Davy barely reached his shoulder, even though she was standing on tiptoe. He noticed her sidelong glances.
Should walk around like this at night. You never know.
He was referring to her thin rope, so he was looking after all. Can someone here cause me harm?
No, but you should be careful in all circumstances. Your Al-Qaeda has left, do you understand?
I understand.
Do you understand this also when you sneak out at night to use your saber?
He gave me permission. He even promised to teach me, but we only did it a few times. He's always busy. Kamal nodded, pursing his lips. They disappeared under his thick mustache, and Davy caught herself thinking that she wanted to touch it.
All right.
He stepped very close to her, reaching up to the top shelf to grab the cinnamon. Davy's nose almost poked his strong chest. She shrank back against the table. Kamal had clearly just taken a bath, as his smooth, bronze skin smelled clean and fresh. She also caught a spicy scent coming from him. It was a warm blend of vetiver and grapefruit with woody notes. A very masculine scent. Breathing it in, Davy couldn't help but imagine Kamal pulling his hair up, a few stray curls falling to his neck. She imagined him untying the laces of his training clothes, his strong, calloused fingers deftly peeling off the fabric. His weapon belt was now falling at his feet, and he was starting to take off his...
There you are.
I can't with this woman, y'all. She's imagining him to undress himself. Wow. Kamal grabbed a jar of cinnamon. He briefly looked down at Davy, who was watching him in awe for some reason. He went to add cinnamon to the boiling milk. What's with the fantasies? It's almost as if the headache is no longer bothering me at all. Were you eating here alone?
Yes.
Why didn't you ask one of the maids to bring dinner to your bedroom?
What for? Everyone is asleep. I have a pair of hands. I can make myself some food.
Kamal is amused by your reaction. Davy quickly returned to her task. After a while, Kamal clicked his tongue contentedly.
It's very creamy and it smells so good.
He poured the brew into a cup. Beautiful. Davy blew gently on the surface of the hot drink and then took the first and sweetest sip of masala chai. I agree with you, men should be the ones to cook sometimes.
I'll run back to your bed. You don't want to make your brother worry.
Wouldn't it be more comfortable for me to drink this here?
Oh, Davy, I should have walked you there.
Davy politely declined and, taking the cup, left the kitchen. The image of the half-naked man at the stove was still vivid in her mind. He has sweat dripping down his chest, and she can slowly wipe it away with a handkerchief. Woman. As she made her way back, everything seemed as usual. The darkness of the hallways, the creaking and rustling typical of any old mansion, and the light of the moon framed in the windows. As she turned around, Davy heard an angry half-whisper loud enough that she understood every word without difficulty.
So that's how it is. It's because of our legacy, Rada. Don't be silly.
She froze in place. Rash and Rada at night in the hallway alone. Rash! It's Rash! She has a crush on Rash! Oh my gosh, it's Rash, ladies and gentlemen. This is gonna hurt for a little friend, but oh well. Happens. But anyways, I can't. I hope that we get to see more of Ram next episode because he's my favorite. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode with me. Tell me in the comments below what you think was best, and I will see you in another video. Bye!